This video and all other videos on this channel for entertainment purposes only. The content of this video and all other videos on this channel are the opinions of the creator only and do not constitute legal, trading, investment, or financial advice of any kind. Investing carries a high level of risk and the majority of retail clients lose money. Do not invest any capital unless you understand the risks and you are prepared to lose it all. Alright, hello and welcome to Camel Finance. I'm your boy Camel and it's FOMC day finally. So a little bit more chop and games and volatility, and then hopefully we can hit some half cycle lows into the end of the week and resume the bullishness as of next week. As you can see, I've got very little to talk about today, mostly because, as always with these FOMCs, the price data really doesn't matter, right? We know they're going to shake the tree probably in every which way. We've already got our positions on and we know where the invalidations for the cycles are. So I will recap those invalidations and where the cycles are and my stop losses. But largely speaking, I really just want to get this day over with, right? I'm just going to go and touch grass. I might clean one of my cars or something like that. I don't know. But I'm going to pass the time in a way that's not totally wasting my energy staring at charts today, as I always do on these FOMC days. We know that we're 99.9% probable in remaining paused, so I'm pretty sure this is baked into the cake at this point, unless we see a surprise rate cut, which by the way I think is practically impossible. Then I really don't think the market is going to care too much about this. As always, okay, purple tie means we pump, blue tie means look out below, and as always I'll come back and pick out some of the highlights of whatever was said. I'll scrape them off of Twitter and I'll show you that tomorrow. Also, before we get into these few tabs and a few charts, yesterday a whole heap of people signed up for the indicator, locked in that lifetime discount. So if for some reason you missed yesterday's video and you're just tuning in now, highly recommended to go back and at least watch the indicator section from yesterday. Congratulations to everyone that's locked in the lifetime discount, and let's get into today's episode. So this timeline, both Jordan's and mine, seems completely confused between calls for a Bitcoin top and for an Altseason to happen, but Jordan and I both agree that neither one of these is actually on the cards, at least for now. I don't think Bitcoin is topped. I think Bitcoin's going to move higher, and I also don't think Altseason is just around the corner. So hoping to be proven wrong on that one. I would rather everyone else make money in alts than me be able to come back here having seen everyone get wrecked in altcoins and say, haha, I told you so. But it's just not my general belief that we are just around the corner from an Altseason. I've been pretty consistent in saying if an Altseason is going to come, and I don't think one is, not a true Altseason. I think you might get a thin breadth handful of alts do really well, but I've been consistent in saying I don't think that is coming until at least the top in this current weekly cycle, and we're only about halfway up at the moment in terms of time, that is. So if you are waiting for Altseason, I would speculate you're probably going to need to wait another 10 or so weeks at least. I'm also seeing a lot of this of late. Bitcoin will replace gold, not a matter of if, but when. I really think this is a very naive thing to say, and I know on paper it sounds really good to say Bitcoin will demonetize gold and replace gold, but the problem with that is, okay, even though I think Bitcoin is better by almost every measurable metric, to say it's going to replace gold or to say that it's going to demonetize gold implies, remember, that the central banks all around the world are going to just up and throw away all of their gold. One day they're just going to wake up and say, oh, we don't need this anymore, we'll throw this in the sea, right? It's just not how the real world works, okay? They're going to revalue gold higher and they're going to use that to balance some of the books. And if you're lucky as a Bitcoiner, and I'm hoping that this is what we see, they will do the same thing with Bitcoin. They'll buy a bunch of Bitcoin, reprice that higher as well. I think that will organically reprice higher because of the supply dynamics. And then again, they can use that to offset some of the debt on the balance sheet. But to say that no one needs gold is to simply say that the central banks are going to throw it all in the sea. Do you really think that's an intelligent guess to make? Because I don't, personally. Can Bitcoin hit these big numbers? I see more and more pushback in my comment section when I'm talking about potentially seeing 250, even 300k by the end of the year. Even though I'm extremely clear that it's not a call, it's not a prediction, I have absolutely no clue where the top will be. And that's why I always say things like take it one day at a time. I've been very consistent in saying I think we should be open to that. I think it's a non-zero probability, and I actually think the probability is a lot higher than most market participants believe. And I found another piece of evidence here that kind of backs up this speculation, okay? A 3x move from here would be ordinary. Every cycle top coincided with the AVIV ratio in orange crossing the red line, which is its 3 sigma deviation. So today's AVIV level is comparable to $200 back in 2013 before it ran to 1.2k. It's also comparable to 3.7k before we hit 20k in 2017, and it's also comparable to 13k before we went to 69k in 2021. If we pull this chart up and have a good look, there's plenty of space to the upside for this orange metric before even touching the red line, let alone blasting through it, which has been synonymous with seeing tops in the prior cycles. So again, if it were to pop up 100, 200, 300% from here, it wouldn't actually be the most insane thing we've ever seen. frankly. At least not from my perspective. Tony and I know a bunch of other traders, particularly the more experienced ones, the ones that have been doing this for a long time, we're all starting to really hone in and focus on this silver move that seems to be unfolding, okay? Silver is now above 70 on the yearly RSI, just as price is pushing up against a resistant line that's older than Tony is. We are extremely close to silver entering a true breakout and a move into price discovery. And if we just follow this line back, okay, we haven't really seen prices like this since all the way back in the late 70s. I know we wicked it here, but even that was like 2009-ish. Okay, so this is a generational move if it's about to break. And again, I don't think enough people are really paying attention to this. Okay, so a quick look at the charts. As you can see, not a great deal of progress has been made, still holding above this level. We know the cycle, or excuse me, the half cycle is down into the end of the week, okay? So sometime between, let's say, Friday and early next week, Monday, Tuesday, would be a perfect half cycle low, which tells me that any kind of green that we see today is likely going to be a bull trap that resolves slightly to the downside into the end of the week. And then next week, I think we can look to reveal the true direction. For now, though, as always with cycles, one of the most powerful things about them is we've got hard invalidation, okay? If this is a bullish cycle and it's going to resolve to new all-time highs, then the prior cycle low, which is marked here by the camel indicator, and my stop loss should not get run, okay? We have no business rolling over and stopping me out and failing the cycle if this is a bullish structure that is looking for new all-time highs. So all the while we're above and I'm not stopped out, I don't really have a problem with this at all. Again, open to a bit of volatility into the end of the week because of that half cycle low. But then we also can say, going into next week, that if this is bullish and it wants new highs, out of that half cycle low, we should see further upside, right? So if we don't and we start to get weaker and weaker as next week unfolds, then of course we can start to say, okay, time to get some shorts on, time to start doing some damage control, time to continue to accept the base case, which has been that the top call back here would resolve to a lower high and ultimately roll over and die. So positioned either way, okay, but ready, of course, to deal with whatever the market is going to give us. Silver is still pushing higher, okay, still following the yellow squiggle, so happy days there. I'm still looking to add to SilJ in the level 3 member section, but this has turned into a real blast off lockout move at the moment, and I don't really want to play any short-term trades in here into FOMC since the volatility in games is 100% expected. And Bitcoin is exactly the same deal as the stock market, right? We know we got this daily cycle low. We know that in theory, we've got no business trading below that cycle low, failing the cycle and stopping me out if we're going to remain bullish here in the short to medium term. So in theory, this low should hold. In theory, we should be pushing up. And of course, if we don't, then we have to start putting some other scenarios on the table. And I'm just realizing I skipped over gold. Gold looks like it's thinking about trying another cycle count in here with the indicator. I noticed it picked this early one, but it then immediately changed its mind because we didn't get the daily close to confirm the day 16 low. So it's now thinking about finding a low in here. But remember, you have to wait for the daily close. Same with anything else, okay? If a trend line breakout occurs, okay, in the open in the morning, but then by the daily close has closed back below the trend line, it's obviously not a valid signal. It's a fake out. And the same is true of the indicator. So we'll see if it daily closes here. It's flashing a potential low here, but it will vanish if we trade lower, okay? So just remember, at least wait for a daily close, give it time to actually truly confirm and label. So other than that, hopefully the invalidation levels are clear, hopefully you're in position already, and hopefully we can stay bullish for a little longer. Of course, as I said a million times, there's going to be chop games and volatility, so I'm going to go outside and enjoy the sun. We've got some beautiful weather where I am, so I'm going to go and do something productive with my day. We'll be back tomorrow to review the daily closes and, of course, some of the Fed speak. So other than that, have a great day. Until next time, all the best. Cheers. Bye. Touch grass, relax.